This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Jeff Carl. I am Anthony Mormino on this rainy Friday, which I think in the Capital District, or at least down my way, will signal the end of snow. Hopefully not to return for many, many months. I don't know about the North Country, but I had posted on Facebook yesterday that the end was near for snow. I had a little pile in front. The pile was nearly gone as I came to work this morning, and it's continuing to rain. That's the good thing.
We had sleet, freezing rain in Saratoga, and plenty of snow still.
That's why I'm supposed to live in Saratoga from July 19th to September 3rd. But also for race watchers, the main track at the Big A, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, it happened, in case you haven't looked in the condition book, in Chicago. They're expecting and hoping to get to the turf on April 11th. In New York, they are shooting for April 2nd to commence turf racing.
Actually,
Hallelujah.
I've heard they postponed that till April 5th.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to make the 2nd. I was like, you know, look outside the window, go. So,
and they're
that's
supposed to get a lot of rain this weekend in New York.
Also, good. So. They need warm weather. For anybody who ever played golf, you start to learn about agronomy and how grass works, so it's very good. And in case, I know we've had some fun with it here, but I started to think about the Tim Thornton thing. He has gotten to the final weekend at Hawthorne.
He won 2 on Wednesday.
It is conceivable. Yeah, good. It is conceivable. He is going to win a race on a card every single day in a month. You ever do that?
Oh, God, no.
How many jockeys do you think have?
The only one that comes to mind is Chris Antley.
No Chicago newspaper is reporting it. It hasn't made the Daily Racing Form. I think it's actually a remarkable thing. Now, I understand they only run 4 days a week at Hawthorne this time of year, but that's pretty darn good. And in case you've been missing it, I think most people do. Heidi Rose continues to march on The Apprentice, and I think if I asked a lot of people who had an Eclipse Award ballot, they'd go, who's Heidi Rose? Surprise, surprise. So, how big a thing do you think it is for Tim Thornton?
It's a nice accomplishment, but
almost singular.
It's a great effort. He's obviously riding well.
He shows up every day, and I told you he showed by like the 4th race on opening day at Hawthorne. He had shown that he had already was cerebrally ahead of the other group and everything, and he's marched on every
Possibly,
day.
maybe Edgar Prado did it in Maryland when he had his run. Maybe DeSormo had done it. I don't know. We'd have to look it up, but it's possible. Because when I was down there, Edgar was. Yeah, but the thing is, winning half the race.
It's like the Joe DiMaggio thing. You can never not show up. You can win. You know, I always tell this about. You're a baseball fan. I always said this one about DiMaggio's hitting streak. Most people aren't aware of this. On the calendar for Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak, the 56 games, which his last hit was July 16, 41. The highest batting average during the calendar was Ted Williams. Even though Ted Williams didn't get a hit every single day, he had a higher batting average than Joe D during Joe D's 56-game hitting streak. That's kind of like the Edgar thing. Yeah. Well, he'd go 3 for 5. Yeah. He'd go 3 for 5. He'd have it over, but he'd go 3 for 5. But to win every day, as you said, I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, I don't think I ever saw it for a month at Saratoga. I don't think I ever saw a jockey win every single day in August during the meet. I mean, it's just remarkable, and I laugh because we've had so much fun with the Tim Thornton thing. But the sad thing is this, and because Jeff asked the other day facetiously, like, do you think Tim Thornton's watching this? I said, no, I don't think anybody's watching. I don't think the Daily Racing Form's caught on. I don't think the Chicago Sun-Times is caught up on it. I don't think the Chicago Tribune has caught up on it. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. I think Tim Thornton doesn't realize that Anthony Mormino is the only one who has been dialed in, which is not good to say. We also have something, tried to go with this the other day, a little mix-up. It happens in live television. We're pretty sure we have it good to go. Now we have another person in studio. I'm going to just frame this quickly for you. as I say to Jeff all the time, you can't trust the daily racing form, and you should not trust Equipace. You shouldn't even trust me, but if I'm betting on any of the three, trust me. Fairgrounds on Saturday afternoon. Second and third races, both 6 furlong races. If you go to Equibase.com, you look up the full charts on that day, it will say one of the run-ups was 30 feet, the other one was 70 feet. And as I have said, if you follow the fairgrounds, you will know that unquestionably, if they run 6 furlongs, the starting gate is at 70 feet. So when I saw the 30-foot mark on the charts, I was intrigued. Actually, when I first started to do, I was not. Now, there you have the starting gate, and you see this is race 2. Now, as I said with surveyors, what you probably need to do is find a stationary point. And as I said, you can see the white permanent rail there. You can also see an interior temporary rail coming down from the starter, and it ends right about where that black mark is near the starting gate. And if you follow your eye up, it looks like the pole ends, would you say, Jeff, at about starting gate stall number, say, 3 or 4?
Yeah.
The steel pipe ends at about 3 or 4. Now, also, you see the 2 gentlemen to the left, to the right, excuse me, the 2 gentlemen to the right. To the left of the gentleman left more, you see another black tape that looks like is in about the middle of the starting gate. All right, now if we go to race number 3, how close would you say that starting gate is to about the same position as it was before, and actually about 3 feet farther back? Why? Look where the steel pipe ends next to the black tape. It looks like it's in about starting gate 4 or 5 now. They are claiming there is a 40-foot difference in the starting gate there. I would say 2 to 3 feet, and the starting gate that they say is 40 feet farther, I think if we get NASA there, it's going to come up as 3 feet farther, not 40 feet less. So there you have Equibase, who was supposed to be the official stats data compiler. We'll flip back up to race number 2, guys. You see the black tape is in the middle. You go of the starting gate, the black tape that is to the left of the second gentleman on the right. Go to number 3. It's within 2 feet, 2 or 3 feet, the exact same place. That's not what Equibase reports.
Could have been a typo. I mean, sometimes when I send my picks in, I accidentally hit the wrong. It can be a typo, Anthony. Still, it can be a typo.
It's usually done by a software data system.
Okay. I mean,
do you think somebody types in every day the daily past performances?
It could be a typo.
No. No. And it's, as I said about Equibase, if you have learned, they do not correct them when you send them an email.
I wonder if they
That's not funny nor good.
I'm just wondering if they have yours blocked by now, your email.
Well, I stopped sending it to them.
Okay.
They don't correct it. I've tried to have them correct the 1991 Woodward Stakes for years. They just don't. Somebody like you will look it up and actually believe the teletimer because you don't have another point of reference.
Well, we've got.
That's not good, by the way. In case that's awful. Well, good luck.
Yeah, we have 10 races to get through at Gulfstream Park today, and before we get into them, just want to let everybody know that tomorrow, right here at the Capital OTB Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Brian Nadeau is going to take on the Rainbow Pick 6, which I believe is a little over $4 million right now, isn't it, Anthony?
Yes, it is. $4.3 million.
Come on down. 25 lucky Capital OTB patrons will be able to take advantage of that wager, and 25 names at random who want to be part of Brian's Rainbow Pick 6 will be chosen. Patrons can get their names entered by emailing contest@capitalotb.com up until Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And then the 25 names will be selected. More details at capitalotbbet.com. So essentially, Brian Nadeau is going to be here at the Racebook tomorrow, taking on the Rainbow Pick 6 for 25 of our
now, did you have Gulfstream or Aqueduct yesterday?
I had Aqueduct.
You're the $40 winner?
No, I did not.
All right.
I did not. I had Keenan Green in the last race, which would have paid about
Not enough.
22.
Not good enough.
But I didn't have the $40 winner.
The pick six yesterday at Gulfstream Park, it got to the last leg, and there was nearly 200 people were still alive. And I've said this about the pick six last year, or actually a gentleman from New Jersey did get through it. It's now at the point, and they're betting about $400K a day. They have too many bases covered.
Yes.
See, this is actually, now I know there's an attraction to this, but this is what I call the problem with the 20-cent buy-in. Mm-hmm. You get to buy too many shares. It's supposed to be $2.
Seth Merrill, who hit the Rainbow Pick Six a couple days ago, I was out with him yesterday, and he said basically you're going for the consolation prize because the odds of the Rainbow Pick Six being hit by a solitary winner right now was
too many bases are covered.
Too many bases are covered.
I think if you had watched the racing yesterday at Gulfstream, I thought maybe Jeff did Gulfstream yesterday, you could just see it getting to the point where the chances of there being a single at the end, and it didn't matter that the last horse was a $20+ winner. You're not going to be alone. There are too many bases covered. In the old days, it was, I think, 390,000. I think they bet into the pool yesterday. In the $2 increment, that would mean they would only have 195,000 bases covered. In this increment, it means they literally have 2 million. I call them bases, but if you liked math, you call combinations, etc. 2 million. There's a finite number of combinations during the day, based on the field size. So,
and that's what Seth said. Right now, you're really shooting for the consolation prize.
I'm slow to figure out. Now, and also there's been some mystery. It doesn't have to get paid out till June 29th. It's the end of the fiscal year. It's not the end of this meet. It's not Florida Derby Day. It's not getting paid out on Saturday. I think there are a couple people misled thinking that. So it's not getting paid out. I have thought that the only way you can win the Rainbow Six is if the whales eventually walk away from the pool, and I don't know how they can because it's only a 20-cent increment, and they're already into the pool. So.
Well, let's get started with today's Gulfstream Park card, Anthony. The opener is 1 mile. It is a starter optional claiming event, 4 and up.
I know that tomorrow's card is beyond great, the 14 races, and I think it's great. But, today's card, which is certainly going to be overshadowed, is pretty good for the bettors. And I wish, I'm not going to play the Rainbow Six, but if I did, I would wish the first race was in it. 5-1-2, ladies and gentlemen, and Changing Barns, formerly the Mark Henning Barn, my top pick at 15-1 in the morning line. You go back to a one-turn mile on the main track after Big A. You see a sharp effort in a dated claimer with strong internal fractions. Tried the rooting after that, caught slop. The 7-furlong race, I think it's pretty well documented, my thoughts on Joel Rosario. I just was wondering if this horse was rushed a little bit out of their comfort zone. Now this offspring of Corinthian gets a one-turn mile. For second, number 5, JB's Unk. Okay, not an offspring of JBK, so we'll think that it's probably a human interest story. Trainer Jorge Navarro, we talked about this gentleman last year when he lighted up the board at Monmouth Park with Josh Navarro, and a sharp operation who has had very, very good success at Gulfstream Park, and a unique training record for a guy who likes to keep his own data. Why? Because you can't trust Equibase. 46 career starts at this meet. You don't see this very often with a trainer. 13, 9, and 1 is across the board. You rarely see that type of displacement for win, place, and show for a trainer, and for that matter, quite frankly, not even too often for jockeys. So basically, if you'd like, those 22 exacta finishes meant those 22 horses were really ready to run. Why? He never runs third. His horses are always ready. Gabriel Saez, who somehow, if you'd have told me a couple years ago when he had the regular mount on Proud Spell, I never thought his career would get stuck in the mud as it has. But of late, not so bad down at Gulfstream Park, even though his brother is running roughshod, or his younger brother is running roughshod over him. And for a second, number 2, Tethered, who was brilliant the other day. Luis Saez gets the mount today. 5-1-2, and I don't know if I'm going to get to it tomorrow, but, Kieran McLaughlin put Luis Saez, took him to the woodshed pretty good on Cairo Prince, and he's maintained the mount. I don't know that I've ever seen a jockey taken to the woodshed publicly as much as Kieran is, but he left the mount on him. I did not realize he was that upset with his ride in the Remsen, but he was quite upset. But he kept as he said, he goes, I let the boy continue the mount. But rarely do you see trainers take jockeys to the woodshed in public and retain their services.
It happened with Buddy Delp and Ronnie Franklin.
Well,
that's the last time I can really. I mean, you talk about he took him more than the woodshed.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Yeah.
That was the worst. It loved the kid apparently.
Yes, it was like a son to him, and good to see Luis Saez with the opportunity with Cairo Prince, and we'll see how that goes.
I think he probably told it's one of those situations where I think, he's got a young. Luis probably fell on his sword. Either said I didn't know, or I professionally did make a mistake, and he said,
And maybe there's a good horse and rider relationship between the two, and maybe
Kieran McLaughlin didn't indicate that was the case.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
He basically said he didn't understand the horse, but it's good because I love Saez. I like Kieran McLaughlin a lot too, but it's rare. You watch, as Jeff knows, he's been on both sides of the coin.
No fire in a heartbeat.
It's usually like a coach getting a vote of confidence from the owner.
Race number 2 at Gulfstream Park is 6.5 furlongs. It is a claiming event. Fillies and Mares 3 and up, claiming price of $12,500.
One of the things I like to keep count with once you start the 3-year-olds and up, which in jurisdictions changes, is the balance from them. Our colleague Seth Merrill points out often about when you see races 3-year-olds and up and from Seth's point of view, he always says, what happens if no olders show up? Could the Daily Racing Form give us a logo? And I've always thought, well, just circle the 3-year-old and up, like we circle the thing. Just circle it. Trust me, they're not going to get it done. Equibase isn't going to change their run-up, and the Daily Racing Form isn't going to change that. But here you have 4 3-year-olds taking on 2 elders. And my selections are 6, 3, and 1. Just to let you know, the 4-year-olds, since there are fewer of them, are the 2 and the 6. And Nasty Cat is my top pick. Has yet to find the winner's circle in 4 tries at Gulfstream Park, but for Eddie Plisa Jr. has hit the board twice. Alex Solis, who according to some won't be going to the Hall of Fame this year, gets the mount here, coming off of a turf race at 7.5 furlongs. You wish you could take a 2-shot right now to see Jeff Carl laughing. But if you've also noticed at these races at 7.5 furlongs and many of the turf racing, they have changed radically the run-ups. One was surprised there. But I think this horse is live in here for second. Number 3, the 3-year-old who's the only multiple winner in here, claimed out of Peter Walder barn. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this gentleman's name correctly, but Herman Walensky. I mean, it seems rather phonetic when I see it. This is just a case where I don't know who these people are, but I'm tired of typing his name in. The one good thing about Excel is once I type in W-I-L, it knows it's Herman, and it just marches on because I didn't know who he was, but he's doing having a good meet here with Jeffrey Sanchez in the channel for third, number 1, Carla and me. A brilliant second start after a beaten debut at 3-1. They went back to the well at 8-5, and they were not disappointed. 6-3-1.
Moving on to race number 3 at Gulfstream Park. 1 mile. It is a claiming event. Fillies and Mares 4 and up, claiming price of $16,000.
3-1-6, ladies and gentlemen. Dylan Davis has the mount on Phoenix Court. Very intriguing runner to me. This is a case, folks, where I like to say this last race is a non-entity for me. Now, this is a horse who was laid off, an offspring of Donna Rail Court. You're thinking about one-turn miles for the former Nick Zito runner. This horse, a Pennsylvania runner, was running at Penn National, wrapped up his season there around middle of September, took some time off, came back in a turf race that, to me, has all the earmarkings of, I don't even want to say practice at better than 40-1. Just really like, I don't know, something, because it was a non-effort, etc. But now we get back to the dirt where this horse has hit the board in 7 of 11 lifetime. We get the one-turn mile, and I think that must have been just the equivalent of a couple of workouts, and to get Dylan Davis. Now, what that tells me is you have a Penn National trainer shipping in who took Luis Contreras the first time out and now comes back and goes to Dylan Davis. Now, I've said this before. I don't even know who Dylan Davis. Do you know what Dylan Davis' agent is? I don't know who Dylan Davis' agent is. My point being,
I don't.
I'm intrigued once in a while how trainers find jockeys. Now, my point would be, sees the kid riding. I don't think they can have any relationship, but I don't know that to be a fact. Matter of fact, Jeff clued me in and said Robbie Davis gave Wesley Ward rides to the track years ago. I mean, that's just the stuff I don't know. But you try and connect the dots, and I'm like, I don't know. I think he just saw a guy and says, this horse could be live. Look at his past performances. Forget the turf race. That was nothing. And he goes to a precipitously more live jockey at this meet. I like this runner here, number 3, Phoenix Court. For second down inside, number 1, Rowdy Miss, who I will say scares the bejesus out of me. Why? Because at 20-1, forget the final running position, forget the nearly 10 beaten lengths. This was an extremely strong internal pace race at which Rowdy Miss held on about a furlong farther in contention than I thought in a non-winners of 3 restricted. 4/3, the outside horse. First off, the 62.50 claim. This one coming into the Peter Walder barn with Luis Saez. That is Izzy Power. 3-1-6.
Race number 4 at Gulfstream Park is 6 furlongs. It is a claiming event for 3 and up, which have never won 2 races or straight 3-year-olds. The claiming price is $6,250.
Now, I know they're running 14 tomorrow, but trust me, they're not running 14 that would take from the pool of horses that the 3rd and 4th race took out, and we got 6 in both of them. Once again, this is the type of thing that I believe, I don't have all the data in front of me, didn't happen at last year's meet, running concurrently with Calder. These are the races that it hurts, and it hurts we the bettors. 6-3-1, put it back, Tiger. Eddie Plesa Jr. sends out this runner with Paco Lopez, and we talked about how brilliant they were right off the bat at this meet, making the first start after 2 efforts in January, which were off of a 4-month layoff. For second, number 3, Peace Before Dark. As I said, a trainer who I have no idea if he was standing outside in the rain, but by the time I punch in the letter I, it just puts out Giuseppe Cernia. I have no idea who this person is, except he wins races. And not only that, I talked about earlier with Jorge Navarro. This is a more typical line for a trainer. 17 wins, 16 places, 19 shows. Jeff, when you were training horses, is that more typical?
What's that, Anthony?
Just a balance between win, places, and shows.
Yes.
You know,
yes, you don't expect
synergy.
to win a lot, but if you're
Right.
consistently on the board, that's
Right.
a good sign.
Which is why I said the Jorge Navarro, imbalance with no thirds just shows you when his horses go out, they all go ready. 22 of them have hit the exacta. Now, Peace Before Dark is 2-1 on the morning line. That's a little light to take, but I like horses that break their maiden debut. And for third, number 1, Time Thief 2. Boy, you said it. $32,000 claim that seems to have been a sharp one. Ships up from Tampa with Juan Lieva in the saddle, who had slow going here. I know his big trainer is Bill Kaplan, and it's just been a slow go, and he gets stuck. 6-3-1. Quick note, the 5, Danny's Hope, is the lone 3-year-old taking on the elder.
Anthony, the agent for Dylan Davis, is a gentleman named Cliff Collier. He also represents journeyman Elvis Trujillo and Kent DeSormo. So I'm not familiar with the name, but he's probably somebody that came out of Kentucky. I'll do some more research during the break.
Yeah.
But that's what we got. Race number 5 at Gulfstream Park is 1 mile. It is a claiming event. Fillies and mares 3 and up, which have never won 2 races or straight 3-year-olds. Claiming price of $25,000.
Tell you what, if he came out of Pennsylvania, we're going to be live. 3, 7, and 6, ladies and gentlemen. The 3 is my top pick. Ed Coletti. Coletti sends out this runner who, at Gulfstream Park, throwing out the slop effort, makes the first time, is hoping to run the first time on a clear, fast racetrack, exits back-to-back entry-level allowance over at Calder. Now, I don't know how that transfers over to 25,000 claimers at Gulfstream Park, but I like it. I also like horses that come off of Calder's surface to be in shape. So the back-to-back third-place finishes at Calder. Now we're going to find out this afternoon on a 12-1 shot how that transfers. For second, number 7, You Never Learn. Young Stephen DeMauro sends out this runner for the 8th start lifetime. All of them at Gulfstream Park, the offspring of keyed entry. Most recently, ran a good off-the-board finish at a claiming 25. And for third, number 6, Lady Budapest. Alan Iwinski's operation, who clearly isn't resembling the previous decade, sends out this runner with Edgar Prado. I think they hooked up about, I don't know, I want to say 15, but it's probably closer to 5 times in the early 2000s at Saratoga when it really was Alan Iwinski. 376.
And there you have it, Anthony Selections, races 1 through 5 at Gulfstream Park. We need to take a break, but when we come back, we'll finish out today's Gulfstream Park card. Stay with us. You're watching the OTB TV Network.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV Network.
It's called the fastest 2 minutes in sports, and the tradition continues Saturday, May 3rd with the 140th running of the Kentucky Derby. If you can't make it to the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany, you can still be a part of the action by visiting one of our many Easy Bet or branch locations conveniently located throughout upstate New York. For a complete list of our Easy Bet and branch locations, log on to capitalotb.com. Capital OTB and capitalotbbet.com. The most convenient ways to wager on all the Triple Crown races.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Turf Hop on April 5th. So sign up today, online at capitalotb.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning. Before the break, Anthony gave you his selections, races 1 through 5 at Gulfstream Park. Let's move along to race number 6, which is at 1 mile. It is a maiden claiming event for 3 and up. Claiming price of $35,000 down to $25,000.
426, Trade Rumor gets my top pick. Young Stephen L. DeMoro takes this horse first off the $20,000 claim. Luis Saez gets the mount, a couple of sharp workouts. This horse has previously gone 9 furlongs to a good effort about a year ago. For second, number 2, Peter Castleboy, who was 9-5 on the board. First off, the $25,000 claim. Javier Castellano rode this horse for the old barn, rides it for the new barn. This horse got beat at 7-5, and I've said this before, especially, everything's about price, folks. When horses lose at 7-5 already, I do not think of that as a, well, go get them next time, because typically you get hurt with the price again. It's not like you get 8-1 the next time out. We're not going to get that this afternoon. And I am just leery. You already beat me once. I think you get beat again this afternoon. And I have to think probably at shorter than the 9-5 and probably close to the 7-5 once again. For third, number 6, Giant Cat. Luis Oliveira sends this horse out. Dylan Davis gets the mount this afternoon. The horse comes off of consecutive turf tries, gets to the dirt this afternoon. 4-2-6.
Race number 7 at Gulfstream Park, over to the turf course. We'll go, and it's 1 mile and a 16th. It is a maiden claiming event, fillies and mares, 3 and up, claiming price of $16,000.
637. Acting on a feeling, I'd like to sign up for 3-1 right now. That might be folly after the debut for this offspring of Kitten's Joy going out for George Weaver and Joel Rosario. That's a pretty strong triumvirate. This horse lost at 9-5 in the debut. I think, as I said, the only thing I would ever think that Joel Rosario doesn't do highly well is sometimes he just doesn't let a horse settle and relax. He's so strong. He's had so much energy. And listen, day in and day out, I much prefer that. But sometimes he pushes the horse. All I have to do is not get the bounce back off of that very sharp debut. For second, number 8, Camellia Gary goes out this afternoon, leaves the Grand Motion barn, makes the first start since Keeneland, October. And for third, number 7, Transformer, making the third career start at a price this afternoon, and I think our viewers know how strong an angle I think third career start is after getting beat at 13 and 7-1. To me, that is just movement in the right direction, and I've talked about it before. Rock Hard 10, who was a brilliant distance of ground runner on the dirt, is a very good turf influence.
Race number 9 at Gulfstream Park, staying on the turf course at 1 mile and a 16th. It is a claiming event. 3 and up, which have never won 2 races, or straight 3-year-olds. Claiming price of $30,000 down to $25,000.
8, 7, and 5. Here we go to Bridled Heiress for Terry Pompey, the Saratoga native. Javier Castellano ran well in the debut at even money, finished second. Now this horse did improve for Terry. The second start won by a pole at even money. This makes the runner makes the third career start. Miss Pompey might have a very good sprinting 3-year-old filly, an offspring of Wildcat Air. For second, the 7 going out for Justin Nixon this afternoon. First time dirt in the 6th career start, ladies and gentlemen, for an offspring of greatness who was a freakish runner about 10 or 12 years ago, who I think, Mr. Prospector, right? Yeah, an offspring of Mr. Prospector. And for third, number 5, Wild and Clever. Nicholas Gonzalez has had a brilliant meet here. This offspring of Awfully Wild also makes the dirt debut in the 5th career start, 8, 7, 5.
The finale at Gulfstream Park, race number 10. It's 7.5 furlongs, your favorite distance, Anthony, on the turf course. It is for 4 and up, which have never won 3 races, claiming a price of $16,000.
Now the rails are up at that popular 108 feet distance. Watch what the run-up is this afternoon. Boy, you talk about being taken to the woodshed. 7, 8, and 2. Son of Sparta. Huge price on the morning line. 15-1 gets our top pick. I like the most recent effort off of a little bit of a freshing, making the turf debut, finishing off the board, going the mile. Jeff, did you skip a race on me?
I don't believe so.
Didn't you skip
race
the
number
9?
10, aren't we?
No, we're on 9.
We're on 9.
He said the finale, and
I am sorry, race number 9.
The distance got me.
Mile and a 16th down the turf. It's a claiming event. My apologies.
Yeah, it's okay. And I got it because I'm going Son of Sparta. He's not shortening up today. He's stretching out. So Son of Sparta is my top pick. The 8 right next door. Second off the claim from Tom Proctor. This horse beat Maidens first off the claim. Now takes on winners, but in the spot that I say is natural. And for third, Forever Conga, the 2. So 7, 8, 2. We now get to the finale.
Now we're going to get to the finale at your favorite distance of 7.5 furlongs on the turf, and this is a claiming event. 4 and up, 16,000, never won 3 races.
And the other thing that's rising, like I said, I always talk about errors and how you get there. It's like at 7.5, they don't want to run with the 108-foot railing because that makes the run up even worse. This is the railings at 24 feet. It's 8, 1, 9, finishing it up, ladies and gentlemen. Springfield Alley, 10-1 on the morning line for Kendrick Carmouche. Second race since July. I like the tune-up sprinting. For second, the rail, number 1, Defiant. An offspring of Tiz Now has hit the board in half of the 10 lifetime turf races. Draws inside, once again going 7.5, once again. And for third, number 9, All Alex. We're certainly opening a good day in the capable hands of Luis Saez. This runner makes the second start since October. Ships in off of a New Year's Day effort at Turfway Park, for Michael Maker. 8, 1, 9.
And there you have it, Anthony's selections for today's 10-race Gulfstream Park card. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, I'll give you my picks for Aqueduct. So please stay tuned. You're watching the OTB TV Network.
It's called the fastest 2 minutes in sports, and the tradition continues Saturday, May 3rd with the 140th running of the Kentucky Derby. And there's only one place to watch it, the Clubhouse Racebook. To be a part of the excitement, reserve your seat today by calling 446-4010.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTV.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTV.com. Log on today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report. Alongside Jeff Carlisle and Matthew Mormino. Time to turn our attention to day 2 of the main track at the Big A. And we know that. Why? Because the opener is at 7.5 furlongs on the dirt, going 4-year-olds and up. State breds, claimers in for 20.
Right now the track is listed as fast. The weather report in the New York metropolitan area is for occasional showers, throughout the afternoon. So just keep you posted. But right now we're going to go with the track as fast. In the opener, I'm going to go 1, 6, and 2. The number 1 Sports Rider going to be wheeling back just in 5 days. A lot of them doing that right now. He chased 2 fast ones in his last start, the Big Deluxe and Hay Shares. He was a distant third that day. And I think that was going 6 furlongs, and this one's going 7.5 furlongs. And he could possibly be the pace setter, especially coming out of the one post, because there is a lack of early speed in this entire field. So, as I said, from the one post, maybe that works out in his favor. Manny Esquivel will kick him right out of there, put him right there out in the front, and maybe take him all the way to the wire. So let's put Sports Rider in the top spot. For second, I have the number 6, Pure Attitude. He finished a neck behind the number 4, South Beach Sandy on March 10th at this level, going 1 mile. You've got Rudy Rodriguez, you got Erad Ortiz. He's 9-5. He's posted well. And like I said, there's not an abundance of early speed here, so a lot of these riders are going to have to figure out where they're going to be at. And breaking on the outside is not necessarily a bad thing. You can kind of have a better opportunity to pick your spot with a little bit of clearance there. So let's put him in the second spot. And for third, the number 2, Warrior Up. He's going to be exiting the same race as South Beach Sandy and Pure Attitude. And he was right there with him. And I'm throwing him in there because he gives us a little bit more value than South Beach Sandy. Doesn't have to improve an awful lot to be on the board. 1, 6, and 2 in the Aqueduct opener.
Continue with state breds, 3-year-olds and up. Maiden claimers in for 35, racing 7.
5, 2, and 4 here. The number 5, Pillar of Strength. Really like the natural progression I'm seeing in this horse. His second start was better than his first start. He was second last time out at this $35,000 level, which he made his debut in also, so this seems to be the proper level for him. Trainer Tom Morley is going to be adding blinkers to this horse, and at 5-1 with Erad Ortiz aboard, I'm going to put him on top over the number 2, Horatio, who's 8-5 in your morning line. But he's been the beaten favorite 6 times in his career, Anthony, including the last time he ran when he was dropped to the $25,000 straight bred level. He was whipped by Handy Stan that day, who I believe is also trained by Tom Morley. Claimed off of Asmussen into Gary Contessa's hands. I don't know if Gary's had enough time to do an awful lot with him, but, like I said, I think this horse is vulnerable, and I'm going to take a horse that still has a little bit of improvement that I think can be added to the mix. That's why I went 5-2. And for third, the number 4, Shot to Win, who's dropping down from maiden special weight for the very first time, but he finished behind Horatio the last 2 times that he ran when they both met in the maiden special weight level. So you know what? I'm going to go with that horse, Anthony. I still think has some room for improvement. Like the fact that Tom Morley's putting blinkers on the horse to get a little bit more out of him. And I get Erad Ortiz, 5, 2, and 4 in the Aqueduct second race.
Staying with the state breds, this time 3-year-old fillies. Optional claimer is 75. Non-winners are 1, racing 6.
5, 3, and 2. The number 5, Jen's Miracle. The stretch out didn't work in her previous race, which was on March 3rd. She had a couple sprint races where she was very, very, very close in her second start. Broke her maiden for $16,000 before that. So, as I said, she was a very game second at the entry-level state bred allowance race. This is pretty much the same thing. And back to that sprint, I think she should have plenty of pace to run into. I think it sets up well for Jen's Miracle and Rajiv Mirage. Let's put her into the top spot. For second, I'm going to go with the number 3, Under the Moonlight, who has a similar profile to Jen's Miracle. The experiment stretching out didn't seem to work, but now they're just going to regroup and go back to sprint races. And again, I'm just kind of hopeful that the speed in front kind of collapses today. Anthony, yesterday it appeared that maybe it was going to be a little bit speed favoring the first about 4 races, and then the 5th race, like you said, that big long shot actually ran past the 2 favorites late, and it seemed like it was starting to play a little bit fairer. With the impending rain that's coming up, it's going to be interesting to see how this track plays. I don't know if we have a real handle on it yet, and if they're anticipating rain, they're probably going to be sealing it, so it might be speed favoring. Up until the 3rd race, I'm hopeful it's not going to be. In the 3rd spot in this race, I'm going to have Happy Recap, who is one of the speed horses, and 2 of the speed horses are from the Randy Prasad barn. The other one's from the Joe Aquilina barn, number 4, Positive Vibration. I'm just, again, hopeful that maybe this Randy Prasad train starts losing a little bit of steam. He's sending his horses out there. They're doing well, but eventually you have to think the momentum's going to slow down a little bit. So if the racetrack's in my favor, I'm going to go 5, 3, and 2 in the Aqueduct 3rd race.
I'm waiting for Happy Recap and Let's Go Mets to be the early daily double on Long Island someday. On the 4th race, we have 3-year-olds and up. Open Company, Starter Allowance, Racing 7.
1, 6, and 7 here. The number 1, Don't Tell Your Mother, owned by the Funky Monkey Stables. A couple of my neighbors, Linda and Skeeter, are involved in this syndicate, so a little bit of personal polling for this horse on my behalf. But you know what, Anthony? He looked really good breaking his maiden in his last start. You talk about a quantum leap improvement from his first start to his second start. His first start was one of those real foggy days where you couldn't see exactly what happened, but that was at maiden special weight. He got played a little bit. He was laying up close and faded. And the next time out, they dropped him down to maiden 40,000, and I really liked the way this horse dug in down the lane. He went right to the lead under Manny Franco, who's going to ride him again today, which is a very good sign. But I like the, this horse kind of got near him, and he changed his leads. He dug in. He looked really, really good. But I still think there's room for improvement for Don't Tell Your Mother. And again, breaking from the 1 hold, Manny Franco back aboard. I think he's going to kick this horse right along. And at 6-1, let's put Don't Tell Your Mother into the top spot, because breaking your maiden for 40 makes you eligible for this $40,000 starter event. The 2 horses I think are going to give them the toughest bout is going to be the number 6 Santa Elf and the number 7 Native Hero. The number 6 Santa Elf was 3rd this level as the favorite at 6 furlongs on March 9th. He is going to add blinkers today, so maybe that moves him up a little bit. So let's put him in the mix. And for 3rd, the number 7 Native Hero. This will be his 3rd attempt in this condition. He was also the beaten favorite in his previous start. He was 2nd that day. He got beat 3 lengths to GGG. But you know what? I'm going to go 1, 6, and 7 in the Aqueduct 4th.
On to the 5th race, Open Company, 4-year-olds and up. Claimers in for 50,000, also racing 7.
6, 4, and 2 here. The number 6, Rush Now. First off the claim for trainer David Jacobson. Claimed this horse for 50,000 back in February, February 22nd. And this horse always shows speed going 2 turns, and they're going the 7 furlongs now 1 turn. Again, I got Erod Ortiz aboard, and I don't think he's going to be rushing him out from that outside post. I think he's going to see where everybody else kind of fits, and I think he'll be tracking from the outside. To me, Anthony, this is a hard race to get a read on because there's 6 horses in here, and obviously nobody's run 7 furlongs in a very long time. But of the 6 entrants in here, very few of them have any 7 furlong experience whatsoever. So it's kind of hard to try to determine where everybody's going to fit in this race as far as the early pace scenario is. For 2nd, I went with the number 4, Hackleton. He's making his 4th start this month for Randy Persard, and he's going to be cutting back in distance from 1 1/16 to 7 furlongs. Again, I'm very interested to see who takes the lead in here. As I said, it's a tough read with so many horses changing distances and not a lot of 7 furlong experience in all of them. But he's in good form right now. Let's put him in the 2nd spot. And for 3rd, the number 2, Frazzle. I'm going to have to forgive his last race where he got beat handily by Dolly and a couple others. The previous races were good enough. I'm going to throw him in the mix. Bobby V, to me, maybe he's coming back a little quick in 6 days off a solid effort. 6, 4, and 2 in the Aqueduct 5th race. Tough one for me to read. If I get it right, I'll be surprised, to be honest with you.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from the Big A.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch right here on the OTB Television Network.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Turf Hop on April 5th. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
May 3rd, it's the 140th running of the Kentucky Derby, and you can watch it at CapitalOTBBet.com. With live streaming and 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, CapitalOTBBet.com is the most convenient way to wager on the Derby.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Handicappers Report alongside Jeff Carl. I am Anthony Mormino up to race number 6, and as we kicked off the first half with New York State Breds, we will kick off the second half. These are for fillies, maiden special weights, going 6.
5, 8, and 1 in the Aqueduct 6 race. Number 5, Elmra, almost surprised in her debut on February 24th at 12-1, trained by Mark Hennig. We know Mark doesn't necessarily have him cranked out to win first time, but this daughter of Mizamass came awful close. Took the lead at the top of the lane, just couldn't quite hold on, but finished second, got beat a half a length. What I can see on paper is that she's working well in the interim, so you'd have to think with that race under her belt, some solid works since that race, you have to put the number 5 Elmra in the top spot, and she is your 9-5 morning line favorite. So I'm going to try and find a horse to try to hook up at a decent exacta. I went out to the outside to the number 8 Suave and Smooth, who's 12-1 in your morning line. You know, and I think she had a very useful debut on March 15th where she ran evenly for Charlie Baker and Simon Husbands. Simon's back aboard that day. She was inside horses that day. Today she's posted toward the outside, so I think she garnered an awful lot of experience. And maybe with a clear run from the outside, she can be up there in the mix at a decent price and juice up that exacta for me. For third, I went down to the inside to the number 1 Bossy Boots, who's going to be exiting the same race as my top choice, Elmra. She was a tepid favorite that day, making her second career start for trainer Rick Schatzberg. Didn't make an awful lot of improvement off her first start. She's 8-1. I think she can save some ground from that inside post with Cornelio Velasquez aboard, so let's throw her in the mix. 5, 8, and 1 in the Aqueduct 6th race.
7th race, open company, 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares claimers in for 16. Non-winners of 3 racing the one-turn dirt mile.
5, 7, and 2 here. The number 5, Platinum Bombshell. She won first off the claim for Chris Engelhardt on March 14th. That was $20,000. Never won 2 life. Now she's going to run in a $16,000. Never won 3 life. It's, you know, the next logical step to go never win 3 life. 20 to 16 is pretty much a parallel move. And that was also a 2-turn mile. Now she's going to run a 1-turn mile. You know, that day she sat behind a trotting horse pace, stalked that pace and just took over. I'm hopeful she'll be able to stalk again. Again, there's not an abundance of speed in this race. Maybe the pace setter will be the number 8 Night Reader, who hasn't run since December at Finger Lakes. Maybe it's going to be a little fresh. Maybe they're looking to get a solid race in there. Showed some early foot, so I'm hopeful that the number 8 will go out there and give my top choice, the number Platinum Bombshell, at least a target to run into. It looks like that's what she really wants. So let's hope that works out that way. For second, the number 7 Casual Elegance, exiting a nice score on March 7th and never won 2 life for 12-5. Obviously, this is the next logical step. Was claimed that day off Mark Hennig, now trained by Pablo Hizzo, who changes riders. Cornelius Velasquez won that day. He reaches out to Manuel Franco, and I think Manuel Franco is a very nice rider. Cornelius is not named on a horse in here, Anthony. I think if I just claimed a horse that the rider won on, I would be inclined to put that rider back on. So, but maybe they have a relationship with Manuel Franco. Like I've said, Manny's doing a nice job out there. I'm going to put the number 7, Casual Elegance, in the second spot. And for third, the number 2, New York Conspiracy. I need her to run as she did 2 starts back when she finished second at this Never to Win 3 Life $16,000 level. And was a big price that day at 31-1. Next race wasn't so good. So if she can run back to 2 races back, I know Inoue Bieto is going to be trying his guts out there. 5, 7, and 2 in the Aqueduct 7th race.
On to the 8th race, Open Company, 3-year-olds, non-winners of 1 other than racing 9 furlongs.
5, 7, and 2. The number 5, Matterhorn. This horse coming up from Gulfstream Park. We always keep our eyes on that. I'm just going to be surprised, Anthony, if you get 4-1. I know his last race wasn't very good, but he faced a horse named Constitution, who's going to be running in the Florida Derby tomorrow. This one also trained by Todd Pletcher. In his debut, he defeated Harpoon, who went on to win the Tampa Bay, was second in the Sam Davis, excuse me. Didn't run so well when he came up to New York, but in the Withers. But I think Matterhorn's had a little bit of time to regroup from that trouncing he got by Constitution on February 22nd. He was still in train down at Palmettos, but now he's shipping up here. And I just think he's meeting a lot easier bunch than he's met in his first 2 career races. So I don't know if we're going to get 4-1, Anthony, because we got Todd Pletcher, we got Red Ortiz. But if you get it, I'd love it all day long. So I'm going to put Matterhorn at number 5 into my top spot. For second, I'll go to the outside to the number 7, Mighty Ian, who faltered badly as the favorite on February 17th at this entry-level allowance condition. But his last 2 works indicate that he might be moving back in the right direction for trainer Rudy Rodriguez. His last 2 works have been very solid down there, bullet works at Aqueduct, and when you can work well over the track. That was the inner track, but he doesn't have to ship. But it indicates to me that he is moving back into the right direction, so maybe I just draw a line through that last race. Let's put Mighty Ian in the second spot. For third, I'm going to go with the number 2, King of Broadway, who has been stuck in second his last 2 starts. Took him a while to break his maiden, and he finally got that accomplished. And then last 2 times he's run in this entry-level allowance race, he's been stuck in second for trainer Billy Mott. You know what? I got him third today. 5, 7, and 2 in the Aqueduct 8th race.
In the finale, Phillies and Mares, maiden claimers in for 40, racing 6.
I'm going to go 4, 7, and 1. You know I like first-time starters in these maiden claiming events. The number 4, Send the Limo, is a first-time starter by Tiz Wonderful. Trained by Rudy Rodriguez, so doesn't have to leave his barn. He's been training right there at Aqueduct. And works aren't fabulous, but what brought my eyes to this, not only is it trained by Rudy, training right there at Aqueduct, but Red Ortiz accepts the mount. It's 6-1 in the morning line. So let's put Send the Limo, the first-time starter, into the top spot. For second, I have the number 7, See the Music. And a nice debut effort on February 8th for Jason Service, who doesn't necessarily have his horses cranked up to win first time out, and probably is the horse to beat in here. Jason Service, second-time starters with maidens. He's 22%, so obviously they get a lot better from their first to second start. So I do expect to see some improvement, and I definitely think he's the horse, or she is the horse to beat in here. Let's put her in the top spot. For third, I'll go down to the inside to the number 1, Delissa, who dueled and tired on March 13th. At this level, she had speed from the 1 post, which is always dangerous. And again, I don't know if we had a 100% feel how this racetrack is playing yet. It's the main track, it's only its second day. They're calling for scattered showers throughout the day. So keep your eyes peeled and see how it's playing. Obviously, if it's favoring speed, Taylor Rice from the 1 hole and Delissa could be quite dangerous. And Anthony, I mentioned it yesterday. Did you see the ride that Taylor Rice put on John Hurtler's Storied Lady? I believe it was Monday. Horse paid about $17.
For the good guys.
For the good guys.
About the 4th race that day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I had just come into the house and I turned on the races. And
where were you?
I don't remember.
You missed the first 3?
I was probably.
We had to start without you.
I was probably I was doing something. But anyway, I came into the house, turned on the races as the race was in progress, and I kind of picked her up at about the half-mile pole. I thought it was Taylor just by her riding style. And I'm watching her horse, and she did such a fantastic job of just staying where she was and
Waiting,
saving the ground
waiting,
and waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm telling you, this young lady's getting better and better all the time.
You know, it said that she had put in that same type of ride with a shorter price horse, and I wanted to make the point to the people, I know the horse was probably best, but some jockeys could have gotten the horse beat in that position. She's, like I said, I told you, the day she made that mistake with the horse on the front end and she dropped over to the rail where the red was Daryl's dead, but she was probably just thinking, I'm in front, shortest way around. And when she made the quick correction that afternoon, that to me indicated she was paying attention, which I find to be great. This afternoon, you can pay attention to racing. I know it's gloomy out there. Heck, it's not snowing, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon on Capital Off-Track Betting, our menu gets underway. I'm going to guess Tampa Bay Downs. Yes, Tampa Bay, Gulfstream, Aqueduct on the main track, Fairgrounds, day before, Oaklawn Park, Santa Anita, Penn National, Saratoga, Yonkers, Meadowlands, and Woodbine for all of our harness racing fans. And then Australia A and B, ladies and gentlemen, as I probably will be working on the Fairgrounds card at that point. Also, if you missed any of Jeff or my selections, we invite you to go to CapitalOTB.com. Click on the Handicappers. You'll get all of Jeff's selections for the Big A, mine from Gulfstream Park. Tomorrow, we're probably going to have a 3-pager with the 14 races at Gulfstream Park. We invite you to sign up for a Capital Bets account, ladies and gentlemen. You go to CapitalOTBBet.com. Easiest way to play the game. Live streaming video, race replays. Also, once you sign up for a Capital Bets account, it makes you eligible for the many, many contests we have this weekend, and including the non-contest, but a terrific offer, which is sign up for a new account. Once you bet $50, we replenish it, we at Capital Off-Track Betting, with $50 free to bet more, which we highly encourage. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a little gloomy out there. Hopefully in South Florida, they'll have rain and sunshine. As Jeff mentioned, it sounds as though the weather might be strikingly similar on day 2 of the main track at the Big A, but also, you know, keep note, Fairgrounds, day before the Louisiana Derby. Check to see what's going on there. Up next, Seth Merrill's Racing Across America. It must be Friday because we have Brian Nadeau from HorsePlayerNow.com. We have Ron Nicoletti of Gulfstream Park, Brian Spencer from the Fairgrounds, and Ellis Starr from Equibase taking a look at the national landscape, which is very, very full this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your afternoon of racing. Jeff and I will see you back here tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.